All right, let's talk about something we all think we know inside and out, the link between exercise and weight. It's this idea that's treated like gospel, right? That hitting the gym is the number one way to lose weight. But what does the science actually have to say about that? Let's get into it.
I mean, you've heard it 1,000 times. You want to drop a few pounds? The first piece of advice is almost always go for a run or join a gym. But is exercise really the magic bullet for weight loss we've all been told it is? Let's take a look. So, first up, let's just lay out the common expectation. The idea that's so deeply baked into our culture about how this all is supposed to work.
On one side, you have the popular belief. It's a simple, pretty appealing equation, isn't it? The more you sweat, the more pounds you shed. But then you dig into the actual scientific data, and well, the reality is a whole lot more nuanced. The data tells a very, very different story.
So, what is that story? What's the reality of what happens when you start exercising with a specific goal of losing weight? This quote, and it's pulled right from the research, really gets to the heart of it. It says physical activity produces only modest increases in weight loss on top of what you get from changing your diet. And that word right there, modest, that's the key.
So how modest are we talking about? Well, here's the number. Just under 2 kilograms. That's about 4.25 pounds. And I know, that probably seems surprisingly small, right? But the context behind this number is everything.
And here is that crucial context. A huge meta-analysis, that's a study of studies, so it's super reliable, found that if you add about 45 minutes of exercise 3 times a week to a diet plan over an entire year, you lose an extra 1.95 kilos. The takeaway is pretty clear. Exercise definitely helps, but it's more of a boost for your diet, not a substitute for it. But hold on. This is not a story about exercise being a failure, not at all. It's a story about us maybe misunderstanding where its real superpowers are. So let's pivot to where physical activity is, without a doubt, the heavyweight champion of the world, preventing weight gain and maintaining weight loss.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. When you look at the daily activity recommendations, a fascinating pattern shows up. You see, for preventing weight gain or just helping with weight loss alongside a diet, you're looking at about 45 to 60 minutes a day. But look at what happens for maintenance to keep the weight off once it's gone. That number jumps way up to 60 to 90 minutes a day. This right here is where exercise becomes absolutely essential. And the evidence for this is just so powerful. There are these big observational studies that looked at people who lost a significant amount of weight. We're talking 30, 40, even 50 pounds, and kept it off for years. What was their secret? The single most consistent thing they all had in common was a high level of physical activity. That 60 to 90 minutes a day wasn't just some guideline. It's what they were actually doing to stay successful. Okay, so maybe you're convinced, but what does a high level of activity even look like in the real world? How do you do it right? Well, let's break down the science-backed blueprint that the pros use. It's called the FIT framework, and it's not just some catchy name, it's the gold standard for putting together a smart and effective exercise plan. It stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. Basically, it's a way to structure your workouts to get the best results. So here's what FIT looks like in practice. For frequency, you want to shoot for 5 or more days a week. For intensity, start with moderate, don't go all out on day 1, and build from there. For time, that 45 to 60-minute target is the sweet spot. And for type, walking is fantastic, but things like cycling or swimming are perfect if you've got any joint issues. And of course, being safe and building a sustainable habit is everything. The research is really clear on this. Don't go from 0 to 60 overnight. Start with something manageable, like 10 or 20 minutes every other day, and build up. Pick an activity that actually works for your body. And, this is the big one, always check in with a doctor before you start something new, especially if you have any other health conditions. Okay, this brings us to what might be the most important point of this entire conversation. It's time to shift our focus away from that number on the scale and look at what's really happening inside our bodies. And here it is. This is the big takeaway. Even if your weight doesn't change one bit, your health does, and dramatically. The most incredible benefits of being physically active have almost nothing to do with what the scale says. I mean, just look at this. When you exercise consistently, you slash your risk for major chronic diseases, things like type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. These are massive, life-changing health improvements that are happening under the hood, whether you lose weight or not.
This final quote from the research summary just says it all. The official recommendation is to get more active, even if you don't lose a single pound. And why? Because the health benefits are just that important. We should be thinking about health gain, not just weight loss.
So I'll just leave you with this question. What if we completely reframed our goal? What if exercise wasn't a punishment for what we ate, but a celebration of what our amazing bodies can do? What if we stopped chasing a number and started chasing a longer, healthier, more incredible life? Think about it. Thanks for tuning in.